double calf stretch. So for the double calf stretch, it's really useful to have a prop such as a chair, even the wall. You could use the wall, countertop, back of a couch, that sort of a thing, in order to support you here, especially when you first start. So you're going to be facing the chair, and you're going to, once again and always, find that alignment, right? So feet are parallel, pelvis width apart, engaging those outer hip muscles to find those neutral femurs, and taking the weight of your pelvis back towards your heels is a great start. You can also slide those ribs down and back and add in some chin ramping. And then the key element of your top of the foot, or rather your double calf stretch, is a hip hinge. So what we're trying to do here is get those hips hinging while keeping a neutral spine. So the chair comes into play here. See, the seat of my chair is a little bit low. If I were to try to place my hands on that chair, I might tend to have a little bit of lumbar flexion here, a little bit of rounding out of that neutral inward curve of my lower back there. So as with anything else, we can bolster. So I've got a blanket here to use. We'll see how that goes. So once again, I'm in my stance. I'm going to try and keep everything as is and just hinge at my hip joints, hinging forward. And okay, that's a little bit better. I might find that I can keep that lower back curve here, but I might have a little bit of a forward rounding of my upper back to reach that chair. So again, I can just add bolstering and see what happens. My palms on there. I need to do external rotation here to keep those knee pits pointing back, so I'm always checking in with that and adding that in. And this is a pretty good double calf stretch here. If someone were not quite as flexible in their hip joints, it's always an option too to use the back of the chair or something a little bit higher. Okay, so that might be where you're at with this too. So don't be shy to experiment, and it's also a really great idea if you don't have someone with you as you're performing this to have a mirror to look at. So you're looking for side, kind of tipping forward of the pelvis here. Those sitting bones are lifting up. You can even sort of place your hand on your sacrum and just kind of give a little pull there just to make sure that pelvis tipping is what's happening here. And another thing to sort of watch for is if those ribs kind of drop down towards the floor. That's kind of, if I just take that upward, you can see that's a pretty decent rib flare there, a rib thrust. So I want to keep my ribs down and in, and confusingly, that actually translates into kind of pulling those ribs up when we're in this position here. So this is the position that we're after. So this double calf stretch is great. You can modify this with some height underneath your forefeet, fronts of your feet, once you get a little more experience with this. And it's also a great place to get some novel hip work here in your double calf stretch. And I especially like to do this with my feet a little bit wider, is just kind of getting those hips shifting from side to side. So the basic double calf stretch is wonderful. You can hold that for 30 to 60 seconds, but there's also ways to spice it up and add a little bit of variety to it as well. So great little movement there. Thank you.